All right, so in this lecture, we are going to be talking about texture brushes. So texture brushes and special brushes, they can be similar. The main difference is texture brushes tend to just be kind of static. They just have one simple function, which is to kind of create a stamp pattern of some particular texture. And a special brush has more of a extremely unique specific function, like maybe leaves or hair or something like that. So let's come over here. We're gonna find a good texture brush. If you download some of the brushes from the resource we provided, you should be able to look through there. Those have a lot of good texture brushes. There's some in Photoshop. They're not my favorite though. So a lot of other software too, like if you're using Corel Paint or Procreate, they're already going to have a ton of brushes with plenty of texture built into them. So let's see. Let's find one here that we like. Maybe, let's see, this rock brush. That could probably work for some moss sort of stuff. So I'm going to get a nice green color here. Probably about there. We're going to make a new layer. And I'm going to bring my brush size down. And a lot of times with texture brushes, you might end up going outside the lines since you're trying to get that kind of opaque texture over the whole thing, but you can come back and sort of erase out where you don't need it. So let's get our brush tool. Oops, we were selecting that brush with our eraser. Grab that again really quick. It was rock 2, I believe. There it is. Okay. Perfect. Now we can start painting with this in here. So you can see it kind of coming on. It just gives it a little bit of texture. It really helps it feel like there's some moss growing on the trunk of this tree. And if I bring it a little darker, we can get the underside here as well. And then we'll get some really bright yellow-green to get the top of it here. All right, and there we go. Makes it feel like it has this nice, vibrant green moss growing on top of it. It still kind of helps preserve our lighting. Next, we can go ahead and just grab our eraser tool, which now we have to switch back to just a regular brush since we were painting with our texture brush. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring my brush size back down here. We can erase that out. Get a nice clean edge. And there we go. There's a texture brush. Let's just go through really quick and look at a few other ones just so you can kind of see what else would fall into this category. Something like even this, for example, where you just have a little bit of, let's bring back to our brush again. This guy, for example, you could use this as sort of like a paintbrush with just a lot more texture in it to kind of help, you know, maybe you want a more painterly look, or you just want to break it up so it feels like a rougher surface instead of getting that really smooth plasticky feel that we can get sometimes when we're digital painting. So that's your texture brush. You want to make sure that when you're painting, you're using all three of these. You're kind of switching in between. I mean, sometimes depending on the style, you might only use one or two, but most of the time you're going to want a variety to help your painting feel broken up and feel more alive and lifelike instead of just glossy and plastic. So anyways, that is it for this lecture, and I will see you guys in the next one.